video, we are going to learn the introduction to Indian Constitution. And you could have this in three different aspects. One is, what is Indian Constitution? Why do we need Constitution? And introduction to Indian Constitution. So the basic or the fundamental which we need to learn before we step into other topics. This is very, very important because this is the fundamental ideas we are going to gather. So in this, we will be learning something regarding in what way this could help us and in what way we could understand our Indian Constitution in a better way. That also will be included. So our first slide. So what is it? As you already know, when we are talking about Constitution is equal to rule, or the synonym for Constitution you could have in such a way, it's a rule, a set of rule. A rule is given, usually the rule which is given to public, moreover to the government. So it's a set of rule for both. One is for the government and another one is for the citizens of the particular country. And I must abide to the rules the same way. The government must also abide the set of rules. In case of any violence, if citizens are violating the rule, the government will punish. At the same time, if the government, if they violate the rules, who will punish? So we have the supreme power. Who is the supreme power here? It is all in the hands of Supreme Court, the magistrates. So for the entire country, we have Supreme Court. For the district, for the state, we have high courts. So they will be warning, they will be condemning the activities of the government in case of any violence. So do remember, Constitution is a set of rules. Or in the other word, you can even say it's a framework for political principles, procedures and powers. So it's an agenda, or you can say it's an itinerary, or you can call this as an to-do list. So certain list which is already given to people, given to the government, on which we are expecting them to act on. So this is very important for you to understand. So Constitution is a framework, the framework which helps to establish the government, the country and the citizens. And it is also ensuring the bridge which is being connected. We are connecting the individual, a citizen, with the government. If I have any difficulties, I can climb, I can share my opinion. So this gives the fullest liberty, framing the basic set of rules. So as we already stated, if you ask what is Constitution or define Constitution, you can immediately say it is a set of rule which is given to both parties. One is for the individual, which means the citizens, and another one is for the state, for the central government, inclusive of all states. Okay, so here we are understanding it is a set of rule. So in the next slide, we are going to talk about the term. So before understanding, we must understand the most important idea. What is that idea? Here, the term. What is that basic principle? The basic principle is to ensure, I must ensure the lifestyle, the upliftment of the lifestyle of the particular citizens of that particular country. So that is the basic principle, and I must to protect them. For protecting, for helping to upcome. That is the basic principle over here. And constitution that focuses on three different aspects. What are they? One is the fundamental principles, established precedents, and legal basis of polity. So here we will be discussing in our next lecture, we will be discussing all three important points one by one. Here, for you to understand the fundamental principles, what do you mean by fundamental principle here? It is to ensure that people, the public, as well as the country are traveling in the right direction, and no one is suffering because of the constitution or because of the law and order which is given by the government. You must not feel bad. In case if there is any problem, what shall I do? I can approach, I can go to the next level, I can convey my grievances to the next level authority. Who is the next level authority? If the government is not listening to me, I can approach the court. So somehow I will be getting solution for all my problems. The same way, if the state is having problem, they will be approaching the central government. If the central government is turning deaf, if they are not ready to listen, immediately they will be approaching the Supreme Court or High Court. So this is how. So the fundamental principle is ensured. So I must be happy, the state must be happy, the country must be happy. Principle again, the citizen must be protected, state must be protected, the country must be protected. So all three aspects will be focused on. And there is another name for the Indian Constitution. What is that? This is called as a living document or governing system. Why it is called as living document? Because this is still existing. And any plan, any idea which is being implemented in our state, in our country, that is all because of the existing constitution, Indian Constitution. So this is a framework. See here, I would like to emphasize again, it's a framework, a set of rule which is already given to people, given to the government. And according to that rules, according to the ideas, we must follow and we must move on. So that is what the idea over here. So we call constitution, any country constitution can be called as living document or governing system. Why? Because that governs both citizen as well as the state or the central government. The next aspect. Okay, so here we are talking about the root now. The root, where the word is derived from. The word constitution is derived from a Latin word constituto, which means regulation or an order. So here it's a word that is derived from the word which is derived from Latin, and the word in Latin that means regulation and order. Or in other words, you can call that as an act. State which means a condition of a citizen or a state, and a conditions. So how you are and how your state is or how your city is, though that state we are talking about, the level. So this is what you must understand. If someone is asking you, can you please tell me what constitution means, you can start telling them the word which is derived from Latin constituto, from which you can define and it can move on likewise. So here Indian Constitution, we are going to pay attention more on Indian Constitution. As in the previous slides we have informed you, it's a code of rules or set of rules, okay, where we have given liberty, where we are talking about the duties, where we are talking about the rights, where we are talking about all fundamental ideas which has to be adopted, which has to be accepted by both the citizens as well as the states and central government. And this is the supreme law. Can you question Indian Constitution? No, it is not possible. because that is considered as supreme law where no one can question, including Supreme Court, High Court, central government, state government, or any other citizens, any individual. You cannot question. Why? Because it's considered as a supreme law. In the other words, you can call this as a Bhagavad Gita. So it's just like epic. Okay, epic for your country where you cannot question. It is all moral rules, set of rules, which is given to uplift. So no possibilities of asking such questions. That's why we call our law, so our constitution, as supreme law of our country. And it includes what it includes. It includes fundamental rights for both. When I say both, it refers to citizens, it refers to state government and central government. And directive principles. So, he being a state, what are the liberty or what benefits that I am getting? So that talks about directive principles where central government cannot influence. That prevents the directive principles that prevents central government from influencing the state government, because we have our own principles, our own moral values, so where they cannot influence. So such policies are discussed in detail in directive principles that we will be focusing in the forthcoming videos. And duties of citizens. So when I am enjoying, so the liberty is given, at the same time, being a citizen of this country, I have to contribute something. I must ensure that my country, my state is protected. In what way I can contribute for my state, in what way I can contribute for my country. So certain duties we have, that is also discussed in our Indian Constitution. So it includes all instructions, rules, recommendations, all three. So rules meant for following, instructions which will help you to enhance your lifestyles, recommendation, if you do so you will be fine. So likewise, we have all three aspects which is available in our Indian Constitution. This is much more in deeper. We are touching the root now. So I think probably I'm not sure how many of you are aware that our Constitution, Indian Constitution, is the longest written Constitution. See, we are proud. We are proud to say that our Constitution is the longest Constitution, especially written Constitution. Prem Bahir Narayani Raizadia, who has written the Indian Constitution. So it is not printed, it is handwritten, manuscript, which is available. Even now it is available in the Parliamentary House. They have kept in the library, Parliamentary Library. And how many words are there? How many words they have used? They have used hardly 1,17,369 words are there in our Indian Constitution. And we are going in depth again. It contains 444 articles in 22 parts and 12 schedules, 124 amendments. So what is an article? What do you mean by part? What is a schedule? What is an amendment? That we will be discussing in the next video in detail. So to understand what is there in Indian Constitution, we have given certain ideas to you people to learn. Okay, so 444. Some of them may say 300 plus. Okay, and here we are including the amendment, which means changes or updation. You can call that as updation. So what is updated? As I already stated in the previous slides, it is the supreme law. Okay, supreme law cannot be changed. You cannot rewrite or you cannot correct certain ideas which is already given. So what I can do now, we are developing. So when it is developed, we need to add certain ideas that must be followed by this present generation. So what shall I do? I will be introducing a set of rule in the name of amendments. So for to make you understand even better, if I am saying article 1, okay, article 1, we have 444 articles. In article 1, which is already existing, now I am having something to add. How shall I add? That addition is called as amendment. That will be added in the name of 1A with an alphabet which is being used to refer. That is an updation. We have already 124 amendments, which means we have updated according to the situation, according to the changes or requirements we made. 124 amendments are there. So certain you must understand. We will be discussing in detail, so you will be understanding better in the next lecture. So Indian Constitution, from this slide what you are expected to understand, our Constitution is the longest written Constitution, and we have hardly 1,17,369 words are there. And how many articles? 444. That is 444 articles are there. 124 amendments are there. So this is the skeleton of Indian Constitution. You could call this a skeleton of Indian Constitution, where you will be having some basic ideas. Okay. So when they started the idea of liberty, the idea of freedom, independence, that started in 1800s. Actually, they started the work, the writing Constitution. They started the framework or the outline for the Indian Constitution 9th December 1946. And this outline, the entire concept was driven, and a committee was framed, and they started working on this, and we adopted our Indian Constitution on 26th November 1949, and it was enforced. When it was enforced on January 26, 1950. What do you mean by enforcing? That after that we claimed ourselves as a republic country. Republic country, when I say my country is republic country, which means I have my own constitution, which means rules, set of rules I have. So here from 26th of January, we started following our own constitution. Before that, what we did, we followed what Britishers gave us. That is, acts. So we will be discussing in the forthcoming videos. Acts, amendment acts we call. So they have given set of rules, and they made us to follow. The same way we followed someone else's contribution or their law. Now we are following our own law made by our own people. So here we call Indian Constitution as bags of borrowing. It's a bag of borrowing. What do you mean by bag of borrowing? We added more ideas. Those ideas, when we say 444 articles are there, including preamble. Preamble is the first page of Indian Constitution, which means preface. Okay, that we will be dealing in detail. Indian Constitution, which started from preamble. From preamble, the idea was derived, taken from USA. Likewise, for every article, for every amendment, for every schedule, we used someone's idea and we modified according to our geography, according to our requirement. So we have certain major contributors from whom we gathered lots and lots of ideas, and which is there available in our Indian Constitution. So the contributors are USA. The first one is USA. Second one is Russia. Third one is German. Fourth one is Japan. Fifth one is France. And we have Canada, South Africa, so on. So they are known as the major contributors. They have contributed more ideas to frame our Indian Constitution. Again, see, as like our Constitution, there are n number of constitutions available. Other countries' constitutions are available. Even then, our constitution is very special. We made it very clear in the previous slide, because it is a handwritten constitution, and they took hardly a few months to prepare their constitution, and it took hardly 3+ years. And if you know how many years exactly, please do comment in the comment section, so that you will be learning how many years we have contributed, have spent on preparing our constitution. You must learn. Being a citizen of this country, you must learn. So USA, they took hardly 6 months, and Russia, they have completed, they prepared their constitution in very short span of time. But for us, it took maximum years to frame, maximum years to complete. Okay. And we have something special, because we invited people to contribute. We made a committee, and that committee, they gone through all possibilities, difficulties. After that only we adopted in the year 1950, January 26, we adopted. So such a valuable constitution is ours. And types of constitution, this is very important that you must understand. There are two different types of constitutions are available. One is codified constitution, and another one is uncodified constitution. What do you mean by codified constitution? It's a single document. It can be printed in the form of printed material. Uncodified constitution, it is all written, fully written. Our constitution is the finest example for uncodified constitution. And we keep adding later on, that in the name of amendments, we keep adding more and more ideas, more and more parts, or more and more contribution is possible, where in uncodified constitution. But in the case of codified, that is not possible. So here we divide that into two. One is codified and another one is uncodified. And when we are talking about codified, what do you mean by codified? As I already stated, it's a single document. It is a printed media used in many countries. Many countries are using this. And again, it talks about the rule, set of rule, where the flexibility is missing. Or you could say there are certain rules where no one can question, or no one can have their influence on that, or a public who cannot raise voice against certain. So that can be called as codified. Even for us, uncodified, anything like that, you cannot question, or you cannot even ask any question against it. But we could add, or we could modify it in the name of amendment. There are possibilities. The doors are kept open. We are welcoming people to keep updating. The updation is required. Without updating our constitution, if this happened in 1950s, now it is 2022. So everything has changed. And now, without any updation, if we follow the same set of rules which was given in the year 1950, I think probably we may not find it feasible. So now it is very important that we need to adapt, or we need to modify those ideas according to the present scenario. In those days, there were no cell phones, there were no internet. Now it is all available. We have scam, we have problem. Okay, so such problems can be dealt, where it can modified, where it can be added in the constitution, what type of punishment must be given, or how to control certain. Those ideas become possible, and it can be added when it is uncodified. Here it is somewhat difficult. So here uncodified, it is not contained in any single documents. It's a different document. We have n number of pages, we have n number of parts, we have n number of sections. and evolution of law and conventions over centuries. So as I already stated, 1950, 1950 to 1960, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, likewise it keeps updating. So moreover, where there is a change required, when there is a necessity of changing, or when there is a possible way of accepting or welcoming changes, probably this uncodified will help you out. So I think probably you might have learned the outline of Indian Constitution. So we started with what is Constitution, why Constitution, and where it is derived from, how many contributors are there, what is something special about our Indian Constitution. So such points we discussed in our first lecture, and we have some questions to test whether you have gathered such information in the right way. So here is your first question. So the first question: the word constitution is derived from which language? We have four different options here. One is Greek, French, Sanskrit, and Latin. Now you have to answer. Yes, it is Latin. The word constitution is derived from the language Latin. And your next question: when did India enforce constitution? When we adopted. It is not the question when we adopted, when it is being enforced. So when we met, when we adopted, when we enforce, three different possible questions. So here we are talking about enforcement. 26 November, January. It is 26th January 1950. And the next question is very, very important question. I think probably you must learn. Who wrote the Constitution of India? Either it is Nehru or Gandhi or Ambedkar or Prem Bahir. So this question is very important. When we talk about Indian Constitution, you should never forget his contribution towards making of Indian Constitution. So it is Prem Bahir Narayani Razada. So I think probably you might have enjoyed the lecture. I request you people to subscribe our channel. Keep sharing this video with your friends and dear and near ones. Do subscribe, and please do click the bell icon so that whenever I just update a video, it will be immediately notifying you. Thank you. Have a nice day.